Well, hey, everybody. This is Jackson Mumey at Celebration Bar Review, and we are going to go live with this and have a Google Hangout and talk about the bar exam for those of you that have an interest in that sort of stuff. This is the first time I've actually done a Hangout, so there's some technical things that we're going to try and make sure we get right, and hopefully we'll be able to record this and play it back later for those that weren't able to join us. I am hopeful that we'll have some people come online, and if you've got a question about the bar, something that you want to ask me or talk about, this will be your opportunity to do that. And I'll be glad to try and take your calls and your questions for about an hour here, and give you some thoughts, try and resolve anything that's going on. What I'm probably not going to do is answer whether question A or answer choice A or answer choice C is correct under the rule against perpetuities question. I'm not going to do that. But we can talk about the exam and scoring and testing and some things that are going on generally. While I'm waiting for anyone to come online or to submit a question, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about some general things that I think are going on in the test right now. As I'm recording today, we've gotten results from a couple of jurisdictions, and the results so far have been very good for us, but not very good generally. I know that there's a huge controversy right now about whether or not the bar exam is valid, invalid. You may have read or heard about Erica Mosier from the National Conference of Bar Examiners, who said, hey, the problem isn't the bar exam. The problem is that students aren't as smart as they used to be. Way to go. Nice to throw everybody under the bus here. But that was definitely an interesting position that she took there. I think that she's incorrect. I don't think bar students are less intelligent, but I also don't think the bar exam is necessarily more difficult substantively. I don't think the test itself is more difficult. I think what's really happening is the grading criteria and the people doing the grading are different than they used to be. Let me explain that just a little bit more fully. In most jurisdictions, if you go back 10, 15, 20 years, the grading of the bar exam was done by the bar examiners themselves, full-time or nearly full-time employees. It was done, they were aided in some cases by law professors, in other cases by lawyers in practice for a number of years, typically senior partners in law firms. In a few rare cases, they even had some judges helping and working and grading. The point is that it was a pretty balanced and experienced group of people that were involved. Today, interestingly enough, what's happened is that we've changed. We've morphed from that group. Now, bar graders are hired from the outside. California is actually quite aggressive in this. California will hire someone who's taken and passed the California bar on at least their second try. They pay them an average of $3.10 per essay that they grade, with the average payment going to a bar grader in an exam date of about $1,000. That's not a particularly great amount. And frankly, it's not a particularly sophisticated reader. And it's also a reader that's typically under or unemployed, and so has very little motivation, frankly, to want to do anything in favor of or on behalf of other bar takers, other bar candidates. The net result of all that is that what we see are essays being graded, I think, less effectively than they used to be, less useful than they used to be, and in general, this general sense of people really not getting probably the best read of their work that they could under other circumstances. So I think that that's a serious concern for people that are out there. And I think it means your writing has to be different than it used to be. I think just being terribly sophisticated and showing people all the law you know or have memorized is probably less effective than it used to be. I think the grading is harder. I think it's less interesting for people. And I think that the writing has to be more functional and faster and clearer than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And the result of that is that we're getting lower and lower bar scores across the board. Now, fortunately, our bar scores have continued to be pretty good. But I think it's something to bear in mind. So that's part of what's going on. And I think it's worth keeping in mind as you're writing essays and working. On the multi-state side, what I see happening right now is that this addition of the 7-subject civil procedure, at least in the first jurisdictions, Florida being the biggest of them, has not made much of a difference. In fact, our multi-state scores stayed surprisingly even to what they were before. We use, among others, a February 1991 released multi-state exam. And we measure that, and for years that's been a very accurate predictor of success on the actual test and of scoring. What I'm really surprised to find right now is that beyond that is that we're seeing, that we're really in a situation where people are being able to get about the same score on the multi-state now that they did in that February 1991, even though it's got a 7th subject. So that's kind of an interesting process, I think, as to what's going on. Okay, well, as I'm doing this, I'm watching to see, and I see that there are viewers, but I'm not seeing people actually in the Hangout with me, which is very weird, and I'm not sure if you all are able to see me and hear me. If you're here and you want to come on to the podcast with me, you got to on. I'm still, I do want to be able to get you guys in here, and I see that there are people viewing. If you are trying to get online and can't, message me, I guess, would be a good way to do that. And let me see if we can pick you up there. Interesting.